I believe that the use of chemical weapons on innocent civilians, killing hundreds of them, is abhorrent and can't simply be ignored. So when I saw the Prime Minister this afternoon, I said to him that we, the Labour Party, would consider supporting international action, but only on the basis that it was legal, that it was specifically limited to deterring the future use of chemical weapons, and that any action contemplated had clear and achievable military goals, and will be scrutinising any action that is contemplated on that basis. Well, I think any action that it is contemplating must be legal. It must have a proper, sound legal base in international law. I think that's incredibly important. I think it must be directed at stopping further chemical weapons attacks on the innocent civilians of Syria who appear to have been subjected to those attacks. And it must have goals that can be achieved, because we know from past conflicts that we've got to be very, very clear at the outset, if action is contemplated, that there are achievable goals. And I think the British public would expect nothing less from us in scrutinising any proposals, and indeed nothing less from the Prime Minister. We'll be scrutinising what the government puts forward, and I think that's the right thing to do. Look, I've always felt on the basis of foreign policy that we should seek to work with the government if they have clear objectives, and we will be seeking to have further discussions, and indeed the Prime Minister made himself available today for a discussion today and in the coming days to talk further about these issues, and that's what I'll do. But I've set out very clear criteria that must be met if the Labour Party is to support the motion in the House of Commons on Thursday, and indeed any international action. I think there is a lot of evidence that's mounted, not just about this chemical weapons attack, but a number of attacks that have taken place. But I think it's clearly the case that we want to, if we possibly can, hear from the UN weapons inspectors, hear what they have discovered so far. Now, they have been conducting their inquiries under the greatest of duress in very difficult circumstances, but clearly, given the lessons of history, it will be very much preferable to hear from them about what they have discovered so far, and to see any evidence that our government has, or indeed the US government has, that can be made publicly available. I have only one criteria that matters to me here, which is the national interest. What is in our national interest and what is the right thing to do for Britain? I supported the Prime Minister when it came to the conflict in Libya. I was sceptical when he made proposals or hinted at proposals to arm the rebels in Syria, because I didn't think that would help the situation. I think the use of chemical weapons is abhorrent, and I think it can't simply be ignored, but we've got to be very clear-eyed if we undertake international action, and that's the basis on which I'll be scrutinising any action.